Dear students, this is Vandana Pachori, and today in my video I'm going to talk about The Tempest by William Shakespeare. Uh, in this video I'm going to talk about some themes, the popular themes which are used in the play The Tempest. So briefly we know the themes that are used in Tempest are loss and restoration, power, magic illusion, colonization. Let's understand the theme of loss and restoration and what kind of effect does it have on the play. This is specially for the class 12th, and I recommend all the class 12 children to review the story with this point of view. How is the theme of loss and restoration employed? Now we know that Prospero attempts to recover his lost dukedom. Right from the beginning, this feeling of loss and restoring something is always there, because Prospero had already lost his dukedom right in the Act 1, Scene 2, when he tells his story to his daughter. We are aware of the situation. This loss has taken place and which is deeply embedded in his heart. Prospero attempts to recover his lost dukedom of Milan. Milan drives the plot of the Tempest, and this is where the plot of the Tempest gets lifted. But Prospero isn't the only character in the play to experience loss. There are other characters too, like Ariel. Ariel has lost his freedom. He has lost his freedom to Sycorax. He started serving Sycorax. She was the witch. She was a sorceress, and through her power, she had captivated Ariel in a cloven pine for 12 long years. But later on, when Prospero came, he rescued him from that cloven pine. He was released, but then he lost his freedom again to Prospero. So there was a continuation, one after the other. Even after he was relieved, he was not relieved. He was longing for freedom. He had lost it earlier to that sorceress Sycorax and later on to Prospero. And then there is this Caliban who believes that his island he has lost to Prospero, who considers himself the rightful owner of this island. And he was overthrown and he has been enslaved by Prospero. By creating the tempest, that shipwreck, Alonso and his courtiers also, they have been lost. Courtiers on the island, they are there on the island. Prospero strips them off their position. So when they have lost the vessel, they are drowned. They feel that somehow they had crossed the sea and they've come to the shore. They were king somewhere, but now they are no more the king. So in a way, they are made to believe that they have lost their position and power, and also Alonso feels that he has lost his son. Ferdinand, in his place, thinks that he has lost his father. So just see, this link of loss and restoration is running, all how it's connecting the story. Through their reactions to these losses, the play's character reveal their true natures. Reduced to desperation and despair, Alonso recognizes his error in helping to overthrow Prospero and gives up his claim to Milan. When Alonso realizes, there is this realization in Alonso, and then at this, Prospero gives up his claim to Milan, returning Prospero to power, and he is given back. Prospero is given back his kingdom. And there is order that gets established between Milan and Naples, because Ferdinand and Miranda, they get married. Though He desperately wants to be free. Ariel loyally serves his master Prospero. Prospero, meanwhile, gives up his magic rather than seeking revenge and frees Ariel before returning to Milan. In contrast to Alonso, Antonio, and Sebastian, they never show remorse. Alonso is remorseful. Gonzalo was already a kind man. But if you compare Alonso to and Gonzalo to Antonio and Sebastian, their wickedness, we know there is no remorse in the entire play. Even at the end, the Act 5, they don't have this feeling of remorse for overthrowing Prospero and to be ambitious killers in the plot to murder and overthrow Alonso also. They had duly plotted. They had not only plotted against Prospero, but also later on they plotted to kill Alonso. There was this power game going on. Stefano and Trinculo, in their buffoonish way, they want to seek power through violence. And Caliban, as opposed to Ariel, he hates Prospero and gives himself to as a slave to Stefano. Stefano, in an effort to betray and kill Prospero. As Gonzalo observes in the last scene of the play, the characters found ourselves when no man was his own. So this is something that that interlinks the entire play one after the other and makes a link of how there's a constant losing and there's a feeling of restoring. At the end, there's a restoration that takes place. Then there is another theme. There's so many other themes I'm going to talk to about in my other videos. But there's this theme of power which is also equally strongly moving behind this play. From the opening scene of the Tempest during the storm, when the ruling courtiers on the ship must take orders from their subjects, the sailors and the boatswain. The Tempest examines the variety of questions about power. Who has it? And when? Who is entitled to it? What does a responsible exercise of power look like? How should power be transferred? The play is full of examples of power taken by force, and in each case, these actions lead to political instability and further attempts to gain power through violence. Antonio and Alonso overthrow Prospero, which leads to Antonio and Sebastian also plot to overthrow Alonso. So, just as Prospero overthrow and enslavement of Caliban leads to Caliban seek revenge against Prospero to get back his kingdom. Ultimately, it is only when Prospero he breaks a cycle of violence by refusing to take revenge on Alonso. Antonio, Sebastian, or Caliban, that the political tension is still at play. And it is calmed only in the Act 5 after Prospero is merciful and because of his refusal to seek revenge. And Alonso and Prospero quickly come to an understanding and they unite their once warring cities through the marriage of their children. The Tempest suggests that the compromise and compassion are more effective political tool than violence, imprisonment, or even magic. So, in a way, this particular theme, the power hunger, is very strongly running throughout. Whether it is Antonio Alonso when they overthrow Prospero, whether it's Antonio and Sebastian when they are plotting to overthrow Alonso, or whether it is Caliban who's trying or planning with Stefano and Trinculo to overthrow Prospero. There is a line of connectivity one after the other, and each one is equally there for power hunger. This power hunger is constantly, nagging behind all the time. I'm going to talk about further themes in my other videos. I hope all of you to keep watching and understand, keep this chain of understanding Tempest better after every video. Thank you.